Hi and welcome to the Body Conquest YouTube channel, and I thought I'd do a little video about what you've got to have in your gym bag, because as you progress and you get more and more advanced in your training, let me tell you something that I've learned. You start getting a little bit anal about things, and the way that you do things becomes very, very particular. And there is nothing worse than getting to the gym and missing something that is in your gym arsenal. Like, it's really annoying, and most of the time the gyms won't have anything that you're missing behind the desk. So, and even if they did, it's not going to be quite what you're used to. So you've got to get your ducks in a row. You've got to get everything in order. And I'm not the most organised person. Let me tell you, my friends and family will tell you I'm probably the most disorganised person ever. But when it comes to being organised and diligent for my workouts, I believe I've got it covered. So this will be really useful for you, I think, so that you can learn to prepare your gym bag. And once you've sorted your gym bag out, I just suggest that you leave everything in it. So I'm going to go through probably in some sort of order of importance of what you should have. And of course, that will be different whether you're a new trainee, an intermediate or an advanced, and that doesn't matter. But keep your little bottom down on the seat and continue to watch this video, because you might learn a couple of little things along the way, and you might think, oh, okay, now that I've watched this, I really should invest in X, Y, or Z. All right, so look, if you can get this as a scenario, of course, I operate Body Conquest and PTC Geelong, and quite often I train at home. But equally as often, so I probably do 50% of training in my own gym and 50% of training over 2 blocks away from here at a derrimate gym. And that's simply just to get out of the work environment and have some new different people around me. I'm not going because the equipment's better, because actually I've got a great setup. But yeah, it's just nice to get out of that work environment. So there is nothing worse than getting over to the gym and leaving something. So without any further ado, in my opinion, the most important thing that you absolutely have got to have in your gym bag is your weightlifting belt. And I had a little conversation with a member of the gym down the road a couple of days ago. And I said, why are you wearing a belt? And he said, oh, it protects my lower back. And I said, oh, is there any other reason why you're wearing it? No, it just supports me. And it was really clear to me that he had absolutely no idea why you wear a belt. And for me and for most of my clients, I maintain that the main reason that you wear a belt is to create some hoop tension, and so that you are able to breathe and brace correctly, and therefore to be able to get as much power from your movement as possible. So, because as you can imagine, it's much easier if you try and brace and it's against nothing. Do you think that that is easier or harder than trying to brace against something? Obviously, it's the latter. And you don't want any kind of belt. And the bloke that I was talking to, it was a shocking belt that he was wearing. I reckon he probably paid $40 for it from Rebel Sports Store. Sorry, Rebel, but you know, look, they might be okay, but you want a Harris belt. And you can see that mine is lovely and thick. It's hardcore, super supportive, yes, but it gives you best bracing opportunity. And there are so many exercises that I use my Harris belt for. It's not just for squats or deadlifts. I'm talking, think about a standing military press, Romanian deadlifts, even barbell curls and tricep press downs. I utilize the breathing and bracing practices against the belt. standing side flies, close grip bench press, spotto presses, any kind of standing tricep exercise or bicep or shoulder. So I might even use them in things like a good morning, whether it's seated or standing, stiff-legged deadlifts. So the number of exercises that you use your belt just is endless. And I can't emphasize enough the importance. Now, if I left my belt behind and I got over to my local commercial gym, I'm telling you now, I'd get back in the car and come home and grab it. It's that important. You wouldn't catch me dead lifting without it. All right, so we'll pop that in the bag as our number one most important tool. Now, this is just my opinion of order of importance, but I'm going to state that probably I would say the next most important thing is your Harris straps. So straps, when you think about it, they are something that connects the bar to your arms or armpits, okay? So nothing more, nothing less. Particularly with your back exercises, your forearms, aka your grip, is always going to give out before your lats do. And if we're trying to maximize our hypertrophy or strength or power or sense of failure, well, we want our back to get that activation, don't we? We don't want our arms to go kaput. We can't hold the bar in the wrist. So this will just go on your wrists and wrap around the bar or the dumbbell, and you will be so annoyed if you don't have these. And this is just a small tip, but I don't know. I think that there are wrist strap fairies that run around and actually steal them. And the thing is, sometimes they only steal one. So if you've got a spare 20, 30 bob, what you do is you get 2 pairs and have a spare of these Harris wraps just in case one of the fairies pays your bag a visit, okay? So we pop those in there. So we've got the belt and we've got the wrist straps. Now, next in order of my importance, I would actually go wrist wraps. So not the straps, the wraps. And here are my Harris wrist wraps. So that's the length that I personally use. You can get shorter ones, and they just wrap around your wrists and allow you to have a far more fixed position with your wrists so that we're not lifting like so, but we're more like so, and gives you some support. And I use these on not just the bench press, but close grip bench press and all your bench press variations, as well as your shoulder presses, military presses, dumbbell presses, and your close grip bench press, of course, which I guess is a variation of bench, but let's not get too pedantic here. You know what I'm saying. So we pop the wrist wraps in your bag, and then I would say, now this could be considered maybe for the intermediates and advanced, not so much the novice. In fact, I didn't start wearing these until about 18 months ago. But here are my Harris sleeves. Now, sleeves just offer a tiny little bit of useful compression and keeps the knee joints nice and warm, so good blood flow when you're training your quads. Anything like squats and leg presses, you can keep your knee sleeves on. So for the compression factor, and I wear them all the time, like in every leg workout. So get a pair of those if you haven't already and pop them in your gym bag. Now, for those of you that are doing powerlifting, so all you bodybuilders, probably this is not a necessary, but I would highly recommend that you get yourself some Harris knee wraps. And knee wraps, of course, give you anything from, let's say, a minimum of about 5 kilo right through to as much as 30 kilos of extra weight on the bar when you squat, because it allows for a better recoil at the bottom of the movement, and it also prevents movement of the patella, gives some support, but that recoil down the bottom is really fantastic. For those of you that have used wraps before, I love them. They are awesome. So what you can do is you can get on the harrisstabilitysystems.com.au website, and when you go and you look for your wraps, what you can do is they've got a guide as to what kind of squatter you are. So you're going to get different wraps according to whether you're, say for example, a super slow squatter like me. I take forever to get down and probably too long, but quite a while to get back up as well. But then you've got some really fast squatters. So you'll have different lengths, different fitnesses, different ply of wraps. So you can get on and have a look at their chart and work out what's best for you according to their squat chart. All right, useful tip. And well, again, this is probably for the advanced trainee and more than likely just for you guys that are doing powerlifting. But here is your Harris Stability Recoil. And this is, for all intents and purposes, similar to a slingshot. So we're going to use that on the bench press. And it's something that you put your arms through, and it kind of really feels like you're in a straitjacket, and it allows for this awesome spring at the bottom of your bench press. So what that means is you can overload. So I go through blocks where the coach will give me the slingshot or recoil for bench press. I love it. Overloading the bar gives you a sense of being able to handle a lot more weight, and that can help with your confidence and your self-esteem. So make sure you've got a recoil in your bag for those of you that are doing more advanced programs. And then look, for me, like I said, when you start lifting and you're paying attention to every detail that comes with being a trainee, even if you're just a recreational trainee, you have as much right to take it just as seriously as someone who's training for an international event. It doesn't matter. You know, you still want to be the best version of you, don't you? And you want to be the best lifter that you can be. So I use a foam roller for my mobility. Being 51, I've got to look after my joints, my connective tissue really well, and I've got to be really warmed up. And look, there are various types of foam rollers. As you can see, I use quite a corky alligator looking one. It's quite narky and quite painful. And I just don't like using the ones in the gym. I like to use my own. It's just a preference. It's no better, no worse, just a preference. So I have my own, pop my own foam roller into the bag. And as you're starting to gather, this bag is starting to get quite full. One of the things that, along with the foam roller, I also take my own bands that I use, and I've got very specific warm-up and mobility drills for each of my 3 big lifts, the bench press, the squat, and the deadlift. And I utilise both the spiky ball and the medium and the very thin bands. And I don't like walking around the gym looking for them, so I take my own for my own convenience. You should check out those warm-up and mobility drills on our website, they're on YouTube. So maybe just continue to have a look around after this one for those, and you can see how I especially warm up for those. So I've got that in the bag. Now, don't you just hate it when you get to a bench and it's all sweaty? Like, that's just really rude. It's like, ah. So always take a gym towel. You know, it's just courtesy for other people. Here we go, got a lovely never, never give up towel. And also, like, I'm a bit of a klutz and I'm forever spilling my water and whatnot. So it's just handy to mop this up. And also sometimes I use a bit of chalk and there's a bit of chalk on the floor. So I just clean up after myself. In case you haven't gathered, I don't know, it was back in about the 80s, and I was starting to be this massive avid reader of any kind of fitness and weightlifting magazine. And there was a great article one day in Flex magazine, and it just talked about gym etiquette. And for whatever reason, I don't know, I guess everything kind of, it was like I was new, and I was like, oh, okay, so this is what you do in the gym. All right, and this is what you don't do. And it stuck with me ever since. And yes, I've got my ways of training and being in the gym. One thing I do know is I'm always got a lot of etiquette, and I think people around you will value that. I mean, it's just good to be a good gym member, you know. So make sure you've got a towel, and then of course you've got to have your water bottle. If you're up to 1% dehydrated, your performance can be affected by about 10% in the gym. Now, I always tell my clients, you don't want to be training at 90%. So the message here is, like, I drink 3 of these in an hour and a half of training. So I consume a lot of water and I'm very, very hydrated. And I don't want to be going to the tap all the time. So make sure you've got a good sized water bottle. You might have your branched chain amino acids in there, I'm not sure. And then we've got, this is for, again, probably the more intermediate to advanced, certainly for the power lifters. And if you're a power lifter that unfortunately doesn't have access to, say, a Texas deadlift bar, and you're using the normal bars at gyms that don't tend to have a lot of grip, you're going to need some chalk. And here I've got my Harris Stability Systems liquid chalk, which is pretty cool because it's definitely not as messy as the chalk block. And the chalk block you can get from Harris as well, but I just take it out and put it in a container so that it's not messy in the gym bag, of course. The liquid chalk, such a good idea. I never knew it was invented till about 3 years ago, but you just shake it up and you put about 20 cents on your hand, rub it, and you wait about, I don't know, 40 seconds, and it's all dry. And hardly anything comes off. And so you're not cleaning up and you're not making a mess in somebody else's gym. So I do like the liquid chalk. It's a good option. Although, because I have my towel, I do usually use this chalk. Now this is, remember, I'm building my own gym bag. Your gym bag might look a little bit different, but I always have some Panadol in my gym bag. And the Panadol I've got is a couple of reasons. Sometimes when I do my deadlifts, so let's say it's back day, and I always start with deadlifts, sometimes that can bring on a bit of a headache for me. And, you know, a headache's not an excuse to walk out of the gym. Like, you don't go, gee, I'm not feeling that great, even if your headache's thumping. You go, well, I go, all right, I've got a headache, but I'm going to push through. So I take a couple of these. Now, the other reason why I have the Panadol, for whatever reason, and no physiotherapist has ever been able to explain to me the why, but when I do lying leg curls, and it doesn't matter how I do them, on what machine, what position I put my neck and head, I always get headaches, and it doesn't go until well after I've left the gym. So I take these to prevent the headache coming on. Anyway, headaches can strike at any old random time, so they're just really good to have in your bag. And sometimes your friends might say, hey, do you have a Panadol? So Panadol goes in the bag. Then we're getting close to the end, but I always have a little bottle of Harris ammonia. Now, smelling salts, you're like, what do you want smelling salts for? Well, look, I don't use them often, but when it comes to competition, 2-3 weeks out, even maybe sometimes 4 weeks out, if I'm really grinding, if I'm really slugging it and I've got a single or I've got a double or maybe 2 doubles that I've got to get and I'm not getting amped, I'm just really flat, I'll take a bit of ammonia. Now, when I got introduced to smelling salts, it was actually on the platform. And I'd never tried it before, had no idea anything about it. But this little girl here has always had a bit of a more is better kind of mentality. So silly old me, the handler on the day said, okay, just take a really big sniff of ammonia. And I took the biggest inhalation I possibly could. And then I took a second one. And by the time I walked out to the platform, I couldn't see the bar, literally. Like I was just crying, tears were in my eyes. And I found the bar with my shins, put my hands on the bar, and I pulled the best deadlift off. It was a ripper. I think that day it was about 220, and I hadn't lifted that before. So of course I got off the platform and went, yeah, give me some more of this. It's awesome. So what I'm saying, if you're a bit flat, you're a bit murky, you're grindy, and you really need to pull something out of the box on a random day, have a sniff. They're perfectly legal. Just order it online at harrisstabilitysystems.com.au, and it's a sneaky little tool. Then I've got baby powder, any kind of baby powder. Why do I have a baby powder, you might ask? Baby powder is just to put on your quads, on your thigh muscles. You'll just throw a little bit on. Don't rub it with your hands because you're going to hold the deadlift bar. It's for deadlifts, and especially for those of you that tend to hitch, it's just going to help glide the bar up and not, rough against your skin. So, and baby powder's used quite voraciously in powerlifting meets, of course. And then I've got my little spare pair of Harris socks. Now, I can't tell you how many times I've got in my head, yeah, let's grab my gym bag, let's go to training. But sometimes I forget what day it is that I'm training. So if I go over to the gym straight from work and I'm not thinking, oh yeah, I've got deadlifts tonight, I forget my deadlifting socks. And that is so annoying because if you do deadlift well, you're going to skin your shins, and I don't like scun shins, and it hurts if you've got no material protecting you. So I love a spare pair of deadlifting socks in the bag, just in case you're not wearing them or you forget to put yours on. So we've got your deadlifting socks. And then I think the last thing that I would have in my gym bag is my phone, trusty little phone. And that would be for a couple of reasons. I don't know how you're training. Maybe you're using the Body Conquest Recomposer app. So that's going to be on your phone. So you'll need it to actually be seeing what exercises and to plug in your data. I use True Coach, which is another app. And of course you want your music. So the phone is a necessity. And actually I don't have one here, but as well as the spare pair of deadlifting socks, I do like an extra Harris t-shirt, just because of a number of reasons. It's handy to have a spare t-shirt. And then, you know what? Like, now you can start to see, like, you don't simply go to the gym carrying a belt. Like, there's actually a lot of things that you need. If you've got all that in your gym bag, well, hey, you may as well buy a Harris bag, because look how big I love my Harris bag, because obviously it carries everything and the kitchen sink. So it does the job. It's huge, sturdy, hardy. It's got lots of pockets. I know where everything is and it fits everything in. So now you're all equipped to hit the gym, whether you're a newbie or you're super advanced. You got all your arsenal in one place. It's nobody else's, it's just yours. And you're good to go. All right, so now that you got that sorted, yeah, hope to see you at the gym, and it's good to know that my clients are super prepared. All right, hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope maybe you got some food for thought on what you need to purchase in the next couple of weeks so that you too can be a prepared trainee. All right, hope it was helpful, and thanks so much for watching, and maybe check out some of our other YouTube videos that are going to be equally as informative. All right, cheers.